right, let's dive into this song. We're going deep on the other today.
Correct.
Thinking about how different cultures and religions view, well, people outside their own groups.
Interesting stuff.
We'll be using this paper. It's by William R. Clough. It's called God, Strangers, Friends, Neighbors, Enemies, Religious Constructs of the Other.
Kicky title.
Yeah, right. We're going to try to unpack, like, is this us versus them thing, just, human nature, or is it something we learn? And how do religions try to, I don't know, like, bridge that gap? It's a lot, but I think there's some serious food for thought here. Like, you might end up seeing the world a little differently after this.
I think you might be right about that. One thing that really jumps out from Clough's work is this, well, it's a paradox.
Oh.
Yeah, see, he points out how, for example, the Hindu tradition, they talk about the, quote, siblinghood of all persons.
Right, okay.
But then they also have this rigid caste system.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good point.
So it makes you wonder, like, how can you have these teachings about inclusivity, but then in practice, these really stark divisions?
It's almost like saying, like, we're all family, but then having assigned seats at the dinner table. So is this us versus them thing? Is it like baked into our DNA, or is it, I don't know, something we pick up from society?
Clough actually presents evidence for both sides.
Really?
Yeah, so he brings up stuff like the Biosphere 2 project. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Vaguely.
Even in that situation, you had these small, isolated groups, and they still formed factions. And that, even though they didn't have any, like, pre-existing differences.
So even with the clean slate, they still...
So still formed groups, yeah. It kind of points to this deep-rooted thing, this tendency to draw lines in the sand.
Wow, that's fascinating, but also kind of worrying. But then how do you explain cultures that are known for being, like, really welcoming? Did they somehow, like, overcome this instinct?
That's where Clough says that culture and religion, they come in, they sort of act like a framework for, I guess, managing that instinct.
Yeah.
They help us understand and deal with it.
Yeah.
They give us a shared identity, shared values, but that can go either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it reinforces divisions, sometimes it brings people together.
So it's like religion is a tool, but how it gets used depends.
Yeah, something like that.
Because you see both sides, right? Like sometimes religion is used to justify horrible things, intolerance, violence.
Definitely.
But then other times, it's all about love, compassion, welcoming the stranger.
Right. And Clough is really digging into that tension.
Mm-hmm.
It's like religions are grappling with the same stuff we all are in our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance belonging with, being open to those outside your group?
Yeah, it's like finding that sweet spot between having a strong community but not shutting everyone else out. But when does this otherness thing, like when do we even start becoming aware of that? Is it something we're born with, or do we learn it?
Well, Clough points out that it actually pops up super early.
No kidding.
Even babies, that they start to figure out the difference between themselves and, like, their caregivers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So even those little baby smiles, they're marking a big step in development. It's like the first seeds of otherness. Right there.
Wow, so from the very beginning, we're starting to figure out me versus not me.
Yeah, and Clough brings in this guy Hegel.
Oh, yeah.
Philosopher. Hegel said that the idea of self inherently creates the idea of other. Like, they're two sides of the same coin.
Always pushing against each other.
Right, always in tension, but also kind of driving each other forward.
So are we basically stuck with this dynamic then? Like, forever struggling with feeling separate?
Not necessarily. While that tension might be built in, how we deal with it, that's up to us.
Okay.
It's where culture, religion, our own choices come in. We can do more than just react. We can shape how that tension plays out in our lives.
That's a good point. It's not all doom and gloom.
No, definitely not. It's more like we have the power to choose how we respond.
Okay, I like that. But it makes me think, if we're always defining ourselves against the other, where does God fit into all this? Like, is God the ultimate other?
Now that is a fantastic question. And Clough really dives into that, looking at how different religions see this whole God thing, this higher power, in relation to us.
Okay.
For example, in monotheistic religions, God is often seen as the absolute standard.
The measuring stick.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes everyone other compared to the divine, which in a way puts us all in the same boat.
Huh, so we're united in our otherness.
Right.
I like that. And what about other traditions?
So like polytheism and animism, they see things a bit differently. They see consciousness like woven throughout the world, present in lots of different gods or forces.
So it's more like a web of others.
Exactly. More interconnected, less about this hierarchy.
Okay, I see.
And then you have traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism. They emphasize developing a self that, well, it sees beyond those individual limitations. It's about recognizing how everything's connected and ultimately transcending the whole idea of otherness.
So instead of being stuck in me versus you, they're aiming for something bigger.
Exactly, a deeper unity that includes everyone.
That's a powerful concept. But even if you intellectually get that, there's still that inner battle, right? The wanting to do good, but then also being kind of selfish.
Oh yeah, we all struggle with that.
So how do religions approach that? That very human struggle?
Well, Clough brings in this theologian, Reinhold Niebuhr.
Okay.
And Niebuhr said, basically, our own pain, it feels real and immediate. But other people's suffering, it's more abstract.
You don't feel it as directly.
Right, so it's harder to act altruistically,
Yeah.
We naturally put our own needs first.
So empathy requires us to overcome that natural bias.
Yeah, and that's where religions often offer guidance. They emphasize things like prayer, meditation, acts of service. They teach about love, forgiveness, obedience to higher principles.
So it's not just about believing or following rules, it's about actually developing the qualities that let us connect with others.
Exactly, it's like a roadmap for navigating relationships, helping us bridge that gap between our selfish side and wanting to be more compassionate, live a better life.
I like that. It's like practical tools for, becoming a better person.
Right. It's about more than just faith. It's about action.
Okay, that's really interesting. But I'm curious, how does this play out in specific religious teachings? Are some religions better at this otherness thing than others?
Good question.
Good.
And that's exactly what we'll dig into next time. Stay tuned.
So we're back, still diving deep into this idea of the other. We've been talking about how this us versus them thing is wired into us and how religions try to, work with that. But I'm kind of stuck on something.
Oh, what's that?
Well, you mentioned how some religious teachings are all about compassion, right? Welcoming the stranger.
Yeah.
But then we also see the opposite. Exclusion, even violence, all justified in the name of religion.
Right.
So how do we make sense of that? Those two sides seem, contradictory.
Yeah, that's a key point. And it's at the heart of what Clough's looking at. He says that religions, they're always wrestling with this tension between, universal love and the need for boundaries.
That's a reflection of what we all struggle with. That pull between connection and, protecting your own group.
It's like we're always trying to find the balance, right, between being open and also staying safe.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, are some religions just better at this than others? Better at promoting peace and understanding?
Clough doesn't really rank them like that.
Oh, okay.
He's more interested in showing the different approaches, the variety of ways they handle this other concept. For example, he talks about Ubuntu.
Ubuntu?
Yeah, it's this idea from African spirituality, really beautiful philosophy. It's all about interconnectedness, shared humanity.
It sounds, hopeful.
Yeah, definitely. It's often translated as humanity towards others, or I am because we are. It's this view where your own well-being is tied to everyone else's.
Everyone around you.
Yeah, the whole community.
So it's not just some abstract idea.
No. In a lot of African societies, it's how they live guides their decisions, how they resolve conflicts.
So it affects everything. Yeah, and Clough points out that this idea, it encourages this feeling of shared responsibility for everyone, even those you might see as outsiders.
I can see how that would break down the us versus them.
Exactly. And you see similar stuff in Buddhism, right? With the emphasis on compassion, recognizing suffering.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Clough actually draws parallels between Ubuntu and Buddhist teachings. Both are about extending kindness and care, no matter the differences you see. Cultivating empathy, really trying to see past those surface level boundaries.
So empathy is kind of the key here. Is that what Clough sees as the best way to bridge the gap?
He definitely emphasizes it. He says it's crucial for dismantling prejudice, building understanding.
Okay.
And he even talks about a specific exercise for cultivating it.
Oh, really? What is it?
It's a Buddhist meditation technique, outlined by this guy, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso. It involves thinking about the people you consider enemies, friends, and strangers.
So meditating on your relationships.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Gyatso, he says, visualize someone you see as an enemy, then a close friend, and a total stranger.
Okay.
And then you reflect on how those labels, they're not permanent. Like someone who's an enemy now, they might have been a friend in the past, or even, in a past life, according to Buddhist beliefs.
So it's about seeing how fluid those categories are.
Exactly. Your relationships are always changing.
Yeah, makes you realize people aren't set in stone. We all change, our connections change.
Right, and that's the point. This meditation, it helps you loosen the grip of those us versus them categories.
It seems like a powerful way to challenge your own assumptions, become more open-minded.
Clough says it can be really transformative. It encourages you to see individuals, not just representatives of some group.
It makes you think about all the times you've misjudged someone, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a reminder to be open to connection, even with people who seem different at first.
That openness is the starting point for bridging the divides, isn't it?
Absolutely. Clough stresses that to really understand, you got to go beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Engage with perspectives that challenge you.
Yeah, it's about seeking out those moments of discomfort, right?
Yeah, because that's where the growth happens.
But we've been talking a lot about empathy, compassion. Can those qualities actually be cultivated, or are some people just born with more of it?
Clough believes there's skills. You can develop them.
Really?
Yeah, through practice, conscious effort. And he highlights how different religious traditions, they offer all these tools and teachings for doing just that.
So it's like training your empathy muscles.
Exactly. Just like you exercise your body, you can exercise your compassion.
I like that analogy.
And a lot of those practices involve, engaging with those who are different. Acts of service, interfaith dialogue, even just making an effort to connect with people outside your usual circle.
It's about getting out of your comfort zone, seeing a wider range of experiences.
Right, stepping outside your echo chamber.
But that's gotta be challenging, right? It's easy to fall back into old habits, judging, being afraid of what's different.
It definitely takes effort, being willing to be uncomfortable.
But Clough argues that the benefits, they outweigh the challenges.
Oh yeah, he says that cultivating empathy and compassion, it doesn't just help others, it transforms you.
It makes you a better person.
Right. He suggests it's essential for living a meaningful life, a life that's truly fulfilling.
It's like the more you give, the more you get back.
Exactly. And he also talks about connecting to something larger than yourself. A lot of religious traditions, they offer a way to move beyond that limited egocentric view, to experience something deeper, a sense of unity, interconnectedness.
Like when you feel that awe, that wonder, that connection to something bigger.
Right, whether it's through nature, art, spirituality, whatever.
It helps you feel like you belong to something larger.
Yeah, and Clough believes those experiences, they're powerful. They can counteract the forces of otherness.
They help us see past the divisions.
Exactly. They offer a glimpse of a reality where those boundaries disappear, and you recognize your shared humanity on a much deeper level.
That's a beautiful idea, but how do we make that real? Like in our everyday lives, what can we actually do to build a more compassionate world?
That's a great question, and it's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Stay with us.
All right, so final part of our deep dive on the other. We've gone pretty deep, huh? Explored the roots of this us versus them thinking and how religions try to, deal with it.
Yeah, it's a complex issue for sure.
But let's bring it back down to earth. What can we actually do with all this? As individuals, how do we build a more compassionate, understanding world? It feels kind of huge. Where do you even start?
Well, Clough actually gives us some pretty good pointers.
Okay, I'm listening.
He says, first thing, you got to start with self-awareness. Really understanding how your mind automatically puts people into categories.
Oh yeah, those us and them boxes.
Exactly. It's often unconscious. We don't even realize we're doing it. It's about shining a light on those hidden biases.
Okay, but just knowing about them, that doesn't make them go away.
No, you're right. That's just the first step.
So what's next?
Well, once you see those judgments happening, you can start to challenge them.
Question your assumptions.
Exactly. Seek out different perspectives. Be willing to talk to people who see things differently than you.
It takes a lot of humility, I think.
Oh, definitely. It's about realizing you don't know everything.
Yeah.
Your view, it's just one among many.
Do you think religions can help with that? With fostering that kind of humility?
I think so. Clough points out that a lot of traditions, they emphasize self-reflection. Looking at your own motivations, not just blindly following the rules.
So it's about using those traditions to grow, to really understand yourself better.
Yeah, to gain a more, nuanced understanding of the world.
It's like taking the wisdom from those traditions and applying it to your own life.
Exactly. And he also talks a lot about empathy. We've mentioned it before, but it's really central to all this.
It's the key to connecting with people, right?
Yeah, bridging the gap, seeing things from their side.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in their shoes.
But is that something you can learn? Or are some people just naturally more empathetic?
I think everyone has the capacity for empathy. Clough, he actually gives some suggestions for how to strengthen those empathy muscles.
Oh, I like that. What are they?
One of the simplest is just active listening.
Okay.
Really listening to someone without interrupting, without judging. You create space for understanding to happen.
So it's more than just hearing the words.
Yeah, it's about paying attention to their emotions, what's not being said.
Yeah.
Like becoming a detective of emotions.
Trying to get the whole story.
Exactly. And another thing is to seek out diverse perspectives. Read different books, watch documentaries, talk to people from different backgrounds.
Get out of your bubble.
Yeah, expand your horizons. It helps you see things in a more nuanced way.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, right?
Oh, absolutely. Curiosity, that's a powerful tool.
Yeah, it helps break down barriers, especially when you're talking to people who are different from you.
And remember, empathy doesn't mean you have to agree with everything.
Okay.
It's about trying to understand where they're coming from, even if you don't see it the same way.
It's like finding that common ground, even when you disagree.
Exactly. And that's where those 6 core virtues we talked about, they can be really helpful. Focusing on things like compassion, justice, wisdom.
It helps you see what you share, even when it feels like you're worlds apart.
Right. It's about finding those points of connection.
But it's easy to get overwhelmed, like the world's so divided, how can one person make a difference?
Clough says that even small acts of kindness, of understanding, they can have a ripple effect.
Like those everyday moments.
Yeah, a kind word, a listening ear, being willing to step outside your comfort zone, those things matter.
It's a good reminder that change doesn't have to be like this huge thing.
Right, it starts with those individual connections.
Yeah, those moments that remind us we're all human.
And he ends the paper with this quote from C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
It goes, "We want to see with other eyes, to imagine with other imaginations, to feel with other hearts, as well as our own."
Wow, that's beautiful.
It really captures what we've been talking about. Seeing the world from all these different angles.
Recognizing that our own view is always limited.
Right. And that true understanding, it means embracing all that complexity.
It's about opening yourself up to the full richness of human experience.
Exactly. And that's what this whole deep dive has been about. Expanding our consciousness, challenging our assumptions, and ultimately realizing that we're all connected.
It's a journey, right, but it's one worth taking.
Definitely worth taking.
So, to all our listeners out there, as we wrap up, take this with you. Cultivate empathy, challenge your biases, seek out those different perspectives, and never stop trying to see the world with other eyes.
Beautifully said.
Because even those small acts of understanding, they can make a difference.
They can make the world a better place.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.